Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here in Warzone 2, it's obviously a very different gameplay experience, not just from MW2 multiplayer and a bit of DMZ, but also from Warzone 1. You know, if you're making the jump from Warzone 1 to Warzone 2, there's a lot you got to change about your gameplay. There's a lot of things you have to adapt to. And today, I wanted to focus on a handful of pretty crucial mistakes you might be making as a player, how to avoid them or how to fix them to ultimately become better. The first thing that you might notice right away when you jump into Warzone 2 is that the ping system this year, specifically trying to ping various locations, is not the most visible. You know, I can't count how many times already I've been playing with the boys and I'll go, you know, there's a team over here, let's go over in this direction, and I just ping it once and they're like, yeah, I can't see the ping. I don't see the ping. For what it's worth, some of the ping system is very broken. Certain, you know, hard ping on objects, like if you're trying to hard ping a loadout drop or sometimes a contract or whatever, that won't necessarily show up in the right place in the first place, but physically seeing the ping is not always the easiest with that white hue that it has to it. It can sometimes blend in or not stand out. So there is actually a way you can avoid missing these pings. If you go into your interface settings, this works on any platform, console or PC, you can go into your color customization and change that neutral color, which is that first basic ping, into something more vibrant. Let's say like a hot pink or a purple, for instance, and that's obviously going to stand out a lot more in gameplay. So don't make the mistake of missing those pings, or don't end up, you know, spending too much time having to look for it when you can make it stand out very, very easily. Something else you'll probably notice as you continue to, you know, play more Warzone, advance at it, you know, get later on into those later stages of the game, rotations in this game are huge. The zone moves very quickly, especially late game when some of those circles are converging. You also don't have incredible mobility mechanics in this game and movement mechanics in this game. It's by vehicle, you know, by a car, by a Hummer, whatever the case may be, or it's by, you know, you're just standard running along. And it's not the fastest. You can oftentimes get caught out trying to escape the zone or trying to rotate too late. And in this game, that is basically a death sentence, because positioning with how fast the TTK is in this, with how little you have an advantage if you are that player who's running around tack sprinting, whatever the case may be, if you get caught out rotating late, you are going to be punished for it very, very quickly by those players that rotated early. So don't make the mistake of waiting too long end game, you know, waiting for that zone to sort of move in with you. If you're on the larger end of the zone that it has to close, you better be prepared to move. You better know the terrain and the environment in front of you. Otherwise, you are going to end up, you know, with that zone right on top of you. And that thing deals a lot of damage this year, or you're going to have teams posted up in the zone ready and waiting. And you're going to be, you know, just absolutely demolished by that team that's posted up in windows and in head glitches, and you're gonna have to fight out in the open while trying to maneuver as well, which again is not the simplest, not nearly as smooth as it was back in Warzone 1. Another new feature this year with Warzone 2 is the water, the ability to actually go into the water and frankly just touch the water without spontaneously combusting like back in Warzone 1. That said, the water is far from a safe place. Now, sure, you can use it to rotate and get across the little rivers that are all throughout the map. You could use it to potentially hide for a few seconds underwater, where you're obviously a lot less visible than if you are running through an open field or something, right? However, you do not want to stay in the water at any point during an engagement, because this will ultimately cost you gunfights. You can only shoot your normal gun if you are waiting at the top of the water. If you're at the top of the surface, then you can shoot normally. If you go underwater at all, though, you're not going to be able to use your normal gun. You could only use a pistol. And even when you are in the water, if you're trying to take a gunfight there with your normal primary, you are a much easier target to hit than somebody on land, because there, while the movement isn't crazy, they're going to be able to move a lot smoother and a lot quicker and in a more refined way than just you in the water. You only have so many places to go, whereas an enemy on land is going to have an infinite amount of possibilities to try and take you out. So the water can be useful for a few very specific niche things, but overall, you do not want to be in or around the water in gunfights if you don't have to be, because it is ultimately going to be a big deciding factor in who might win a gunfight and who might lose a gunfight. Another mistake you don't want to make is missing out on the latest news, updates, class setups, tips, and everything else going on in COD, which you can fix by simply subscribing to the channel. We are on the road to 900,000 subscribers. Every single day, I got you covered with everything between MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ, and around 60% of viewers watching are not already subscribed. So if that's you, I'd love to have you join the family. Also, if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. Also, a bonus tip for you, another mistake you don't want to make is missing out on the gamer Advantage holiday sale going on right now. Everything on the site is discounted by 25%. They're actually dropping a bunch of new product this weekend as well, new Horizon colorways and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And code Immortal actually stacks on top of that 25% off. So everything bare minimum is 35% off only through the 28th though. So if you want to take advantage of the biggest sale that Gamer Advantage has ever done, now is the time. Throwing code Immortal at checkout. Link will be down in the description below. Anyways, getting back to the real gameplay tips here. Another thing you don't want to ignore this year is the compass. Now, if you're unaware, when it comes to the minimap this year, even if you have an unsuppressed weapon, if you shoot, you are not going to show up on that minimap. There are no red dots on the minimap unless you call in that UAV, or curiously enough, if a decoy grenade is thrown. I don't know why they did that. The decoy grenade is very obviously telling on itself if it shows up as a red dot, but nothing else ever shows up as a red dot. Anyways though, in replacement of the minimap, however, if you use an unsuppressed weapon, or rather if an enemy is using an unsuppressed weapon, they will show up on the compass as a red dot. Now, this one is not as easy to tell exactly where they're located, but you can sort of pinpoint it based on your audio cues as well, and it'll show you the direction in which that enemy is shooting with their red dots. So they do still show up. Suppressors do still have that use at least, and also keeping your weapon audio down to a minimum as well. But overall, the compass is now more important than ever because of the changes to the minimap. Another thing that I would recommend avoiding is ignoring contracts, especially early game. Things like the intel contracts and the safecracker contracts are huge for building up some cash in a relatively quick way. You know, it only takes a couple of minutes to do an intel contract or to do one of those safecrackers, and you can get your whole team a decent amount of cash there, enough to buy maybe a UAV, a couple of primary weapons, and get started on rotating in towards more of the choke points and towards the strongholds or loadout drops, whatever the case may be. So those contracts, especially the way the economy works in Warzone 2, where cash isn't always necessarily readily available on the ground, are going to be huge for building up that income. A couple of tips as well when it comes to settings. Things you don't want to make the mistake of doing is leaving your screen shake or your screen movement on the default of normal, essentially. Within your settings, within your view settings of your graphics, you can actually end up changing the screen shake and the screen movement to least, which is 50%, meaning whenever something explodes next to you or your screen is shaking for some other worldly reason, it's going to be the minimal amount of shake, which is going to make it easier to stay on target. If you're in a fight during that, it's going to be easy to still see things in front of you while that is happening as well. Whereas if you leave your screen shake or your screen movement on the default of maximum, your screen's going to be a lot harder to actually see. The visibility is going to be worse there in those moments where your screen is shaking. And then also, as annoying as voice chat can be sometimes, you know, you get that one rotten apple who is just like screaming in his mic or being super obnoxious. Voice chat in this game is the ultimate tattletale because of proximity chat. There have been so many times already in the week or so of the game being out, not sure what exactly which day this video is going up, but in the time since launch, where my squad and I have been rolling through a random area, and then suddenly we hear voices in proximity chat, and it's like, oh, obviously there's a team right next to us, and you can probably pinpoint which building they're in based off the comms or based off the area that you're in. So voice chat in this game can be a huge way to tell if you are in imminent danger and if there's a squad around, because UAVs and, you know, the red dots and everything aren't as frequent in this mode versus Warzone 1. So proximity chat is a great way to figure out if enemies are nearby, and most squads end up telling on themselves because they don't realize that the entire lobby nearby can hear them. So definitely make sure you have voice chat on and at a level where you can still hear it. Maybe you don't want it to be super loud, but it should be something you should be able to easily depict out of gameplay audio in case it is one of those situations where a squad is telling you that they are in fact nearby. So all that being said, those are a handful of things you want to, you know, fix with your gameplay and correct with your gameplay so you can ultimately become a better player, get more kills, and win more matches as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful as well. If it was, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. Let's try and aim for 3,000 likes on this one. And if you guys are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, class setups, tips, all things going on in MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 900,000 subscribers. But that's gonna wrap things up for this one. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.